by giving all honor to God for us being able to be here today, for us being able to have the heart and the mentality to make the change in which need to be made. So, all honor to God. I got a few things written down. I normally just speak from the heart off the hip, but something moved me to write a few things down, so just bear with me if you will. Well, I want to start back at the beginning, back the day they convicted my brother of a crime which he did not commit, the murder of Stacy Stites back in 1997. And that day they rendered that awful verdict of guilty, and how it hurt us, how it affected our family, and it's still affecting our family to this day. But even with that verdict rendered, I'd never forget my mother's words. And her words said, she said, "Rodney, don't worry, because God's got his hand in this, and they will not prevail, they will not take your life." And we have stood by that from that day unto this day. And getting into this fight, at first it was about Rodney, about saving my brother's life, about trying to, get the rightful murderer of Stacy Stites, bring him to justice. But as we got deeper into this, we seen the corruption in the justice system. We seen the need for the change in the justice system. We seen this, and we seen the need for people without voices, for someone to stand up and speak for them, and speak out for justice, for right, and have integrity while doing so. So that took me back to when I was younger, and my grandmother used to always tell me, she used to read Bible verses to me, when I was younger, and Psalm 64 was one of the Bible verses that she read to me, and she read it to me over and over. And when I was a kid, I really never really understood the meaning of Psalm 64. But I'm going to take time, I'm going to read that for you real quick, and then I'm going to move on. It says, "Hear my voice, O God, in my complaint. Preserve my life from the dread of the enemy. Hide me from the secret plots of the wicked, from the scheming of the evildoers, who were their tongues were like swords, to aim their bitter words like arrows, shooting from the ambush at the blameless. They shoot suddenly and without fear. They have to hold fast to their evil purpose. They talk of laying snares secretly, thinking, who can see us? Who can search our crimes? We have thought out cunningly, conceiving plot. For the human heart and the mind are deep, but God will shoot his arrows at them. They will be wounded suddenly. Because of their tongue, he will bring them to ruin. All who see them will shake with horror. Then every one will fear. They will tell what God has brought about. I ponder what he has done, and ponder what he has done. Let the righteous rejoice in the Lord and take refuge in him. Let all the upright in his heart have glory." Amen. Amen. And so that made me go back to, because my grandmother passed away right after my brother was convicted, but that stuck in my heart. And that brought me back to that. Because you have innocent people out there, and you have people setting snares. My brother was wrongfully convicted and set up for this murder. And on my shirt, if you can see, there's countless documentaries and stories and stuff on this shirt that you can go to and see. He is represented by the Innocent Project out of New York, Barry Sheck, okay? And they have been doing a great job and everything else, but he's still on death row. He's still on death row. And with that being said, you know, I'd like to tell you a little bit how, you know, Texas has been operating, how they've executed innocent people in the name of justice. You know, there has been 9 people that have been executed despite strong evidence of innocence. According to the Death Penalty Information Center, there are people like Carlos Luna, convicted in 1983, executed in 1989, found to be innocent. There's people like Ruben Cantu, convicted in 1985, executed in 1993, found to be half innocent. There's David Spence, convicted in 1984, executed in 1997, later to be found innocent. There's Shaka Sankofa, known as Gary Graham, convicted in 1981, executed in 2000, later found to be innocent. There's Claude Jones, convicted in 1989, executed in 2000, later to be found innocent. There's Cameron Todd Willingham, convicted in 1992, executed in 2004, later to be found innocent. There's Lester Bauer, convicted in 1984, executed in 2015, later to be found innocent. There's Richard Masterson, convicted in 2002, executed in 2016, later to be found innocent. There's Robert Pewitt, convicted in 2002, executed in 2017, later to be found innocent. And let me tell you something. 1 is too damn many.
That's right.
1 is too damn many. You know, and I don't want my family or my brother to be a part of that statistic, or no one else's for that matter. It should all stop.
Right.
You know, and I applaud everybody here that's taking this time to try to make a difference in people's life. We don't want to go through any more pain and suffering. We want to be whole again. We want to be a family again. We want to love one another again. Because right now, a part of my family is on death row, wrongfully. And we're not whole as a family. We move on. We do everyday things, but there's not a day that I don't think, or we don't think, about our brother and how we miss and love him, and how horrible it must be to be down there for something you didn't do, and everybody knows you didn't do it. This is hard. You know, it's hard to live that life. And we're tired, but we're not gonna give up. We'll never give up. Because now we realize it's not just about getting right at home, it's about abolishing the death penalty. It's about putting an end to this. It's about making a difference, making a change, doing what's right.
Right.
You know, and during my brother's trial, they wanted to try to paint my brother as a monster, yet he has never been convicted of any crime, okay? They want to talk about how he was a rapist and did all these other things, but he was never convicted, okay? He was, you know, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my brother's character, though, you know, to lace it up for you. My brother, Rodney, stood between me and Richard. He was between us. Richard's older, Rodney, then me. I'm the younger, okay? We all went to school together, stair steps. I got 5 brothers, okay? But Rodney was the one that helped me to learn how to tie my shoe when my grandmother came over the house to get us ready for work when my mom and dad was at work. You know what I mean? Get us ready for school, that is. And she would get on my butt every morning because I couldn't figure out how to tie my shoes. Rodney spent the time to help me learn how to tie my shoes. And then when anybody messed with me, all my brothers, but Rodney was the mother hen over me because I was his baby brother, you know what I mean? He had 3 older brothers, but I was his baby brother, you know? And so he took special attention and put special love, gave it to me, you know. And anything I done from the time he taught me how to tie my shoes until the time I graduated high school, he was right there for me. Extracurricular activities, no matter what it was, he was right there for me, you know. On up until the day they put him behind bars, he was right there for me. He was always there for me. And that's the reason I do what I do today, because he is a good person. He, you know, he cared about the community. He cared about others. He helped. People don't know this about him. They know what the media wants you to know. I'm trying to give you a picture of who he is and what he represents to me and to my family. You know, I've been coming to these rallies and doing these things for a lot of years, you know, and I say this honestly and truthfully. Before my brother was convicted of this, if somebody said, "Mr. Reed, would you come up, would you speak in front of 2 or 3 people, let alone 4 or 5 or 4 or 500 about an issue that's very," I couldn't see that within me. But God has his hand in this. He made it a way for me to step out of my own self and beyond my own comfort zone and to do what's right. You know, and that's the reason I'm here today, because God has his hand in this. And sometimes bad things got to happen in order to bring about a greater good. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that. But sometimes bad things do got to happen in order to shake up people. And I give a perfect example of that, and I'm going to move on. Jesus Christ had to be crucified in order to save us.
Executed.
You know, he was executed, in other words. That is something bad. But what good came out of it? Huh? Tell me. We have been saved. And that's the beautiful thing. Sometimes bad things got to happen. And I believe bad things that happened that brought all of us together so we can bring about a greater good, and that is abolishing the death penalty. These things had to transpire for all of us to get here and be here today. These bad things. But through those things, we can and will find good. And we will make a difference. All we have to do is keep putting one foot in front of the other. Keep trying. Never give up. And I also want to read something my mother wrote, but I'm not quite there yet. I have sweat and tears in my eyes, so you got to forgive me a little bit here. No, I don't have my glasses with me. That's all right. Here, I got this. But before I close out what I want to say, there's one other thing I want to end with, because I started it out with God and I want to end it with God. As far as my speech is concerned, and I want to go to Matthew 18:19. Matthew 18:19. Truly I tell you, whatever you bind on earth, you will bind in heaven. Whatever you lose on earth will be loosed in heaven. And again, truly I tell you, if two or more of you agree about anything you ask, it will be done for you by the Father who is in heaven. And I believe we have more than 2 out here. And if we believe, it shall be done. We shall overcome. Okay? We shall overcome. All right? And with that being said, I want to move over. My mother, she couldn't be here, but she sent a message, and I'm going to read that to you. And it's from Sandra Reed. It says, "Hello, everybody. My name is Sandra Reed. I am the mother of the Texas death row inmate Rodney Reed, a proven innocent man by scientific evidence, yet declared guilty by man. If my son had a fair trial, we would not be fighting to end the death penalty. We would trust in the system, and it has failed us. I didn't realize just how unjust the system was until a year before the trial when I was called to be a witness and stand during the first pre-trial. As I testified that I knew the deceased and she had been in my home many times, I was then placed under a gag order. At the trial, the first day the judge allowed the prosecution to make me a potential witness for them, but they never called me. They hid exculpatory evidence and denied my son his due process. The daughter of the judge who wrongfully convicted Rodney presided over the appeals in the higher courts until the setting date of his execution. Everything that has proven and presented to the courts has been denied. We had a hearing, our last hearing in 2017. Dr. Michael Barton, a well-known medical examiner who did the autopsy of President Kennedy as well as Martin Luther King, to testify and explain in the detail how it was virtually impossible for my son Rodney to have committed this crime. In the presence of Barry Scheck spoke volumes. I'd like to believe that the courts could not and did not read the case to come to the decisions that they made just a few days ago in denying my son this appeal. So you see, everyone here today has a reason to be here. Number one, it is wrong. God said, thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not bear false witnesses. There are 9 innocent people who has been executed since 1976 that is known to be innocent but murdered by the state of Texas. One is too many. Let's keep the fight on the path of righteousness, and that stopping the death penalty. The Reed family humbly thanks all of you for your support. God bless America to stop the death penalty. We are starving for justice, but we live by faith, and we shall never give up hope. What do we want?
Abolition.
When do we want it?
Now.
What do we want?
Abolition.
When do we want it?
Now.
Hello. Thank y'all very much.
You may have any questions of Richard or maybe Rodney would like to answer questions.
She asked, what could she or anybody here immediately do to help in this case right now? On our Facebook site, we have a petition for Brian Gertz, who's the Bastrop County DA. We're asking him to concede in this case. And we have a postcard campaign where we're having people from all over the country, all over the world sign these postcards. So if you go to Reed Justice Initiative and go onto our website, you can sign these postcards. We're emailing them to them. We're hard copying them to them. We are, everything. And we're hand delivering them as well. We're giving them to them 3 ways, so you can't say we didn't get it. So we're working hard to do that. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, I have 2 things one question and one thing that I want to say. First of all, thank you all for being here. First, your wife, child. Thank you all for being here. Many of us have stood shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart with you guys. And I would like, if I may, to have some of those guys stand up.
Yes. Yes. Mr. Susan Graham, yes, all these.
Journey of Hope.
Johnny, a vote.
And so many of us that have been with you guys for 20 years plus. Marilyn included,
Yes.
Journey of Hope members, that we love you and we are here with you. We know that your case was recently rejected again, but we will not stop fighting, and you know that.
Yes, and we appreciate that. And we will not stop fighting alongside you all. And I appreciate everybody that we've been fighting with for the last, like you say, 20-something odd years. And it means a lot to us and to our family, you know, and your support, the things y'all have done, the wind that y'all put under our wings to help us carry over when we thought we couldn't even go no further. We appreciate that. We really do.
And I just want to say one more thing. I would like for you to just say a few words about your father.
My father was a real good man. He was a very giving man. He helped anybody that he could. But a lot of people took advantage of that. Like I said, he's a very good, giving man. And I miss him so much. I think about him sometime and tears just roll from my eyes. He was just like my best friend. Whenever I needed him, he was always there. He never turned me down. If I was broke down on side the highway, he asked me, "Richard, where are you?" "I'm broke down on Highway 95. Stay right there, I'll be there." And he'd be like 45 miles away, but he's coming. Like I said, that's my daddy.
He's been there like that for all of us, and for Rodney as well.
Good
And
people.
he died a little over 4 years ago, but he lived long enough for him to see Rodney get that stay of execution. And a little while after that, he passed. But that was one of his last things he said to me, was for us to continue to fight and continue to hold faith and stand by one another. You know what I mean? Because that's what family is all about. And we miss him. We miss him dearly. We miss him dearly. Yes. Any other questions?
Just a couple things.
Yes.
And I got it wrong. You're Rodney.
I'm Roderick, and this is Richard.
I'll get it right before you guys do.
Yes.
But thank you very much. 5 brothers. Do the other 2, do their names start with R? What's their names?
There's Robert, Ronald, Richard, Rodney, Roderick, and Ryan.
Yeah, very good. And also, a few months back, I got a telephone call. It might have been from your wife or something. I don't know. Is that her?
Yes.
Your wife? Were you guys having an event or something in Texas? Maybe?
Yes. Yes, Reed.
I think I talked to you on the phone about
Yeah.
getting involved with that support. So, and to Richard, thank you so much for standing up here next to your brother while he's speaking. Not a lot of people would do that, but the support that you give to him, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank everybody.
At this time, I'd like to ask for Perry Cobb to come up. I think Perry's going to be speaking later on tomorrow night.